I uncovered a legendary space vessel. Scrap crews were already coming. The stars stretched endlessly before Captain Alara Voss as she guided the Peregrine through the uncharted sectors of the galaxy. Her ship was small, battered, and far from the sleek models of the core worlds, but it had heart. And right now, it was all she had between herself and the dark void. Alara leaned forward in her pilot chair, her eyes scanning the instrument panels with sharp focus. The asteroid field ahead was dense, jagged rocks drifting lazily in the cold emptiness. Yet her scanners picked up something unusual. A faint energy signal pulsed through her console. It was weak, distant, almost like a heartbeat, lost in the void, but unmistakable. Alara's brow furrowed. "Signal detected, unknown origin," she murmured. "And it's huge." She adjusted the sensors, zooming in on the source. The readings were strange, unlike anything she had ever seen. Most derelicts in deep space were nothing more than husks, wrecks of old battles, abandoned cargo vessels, or forgotten colonies. But this was something different. A shadow emerged between the drifting rocks. Alara's breath caught in her throat. The hulking silhouette of a starship drifted before her eyes, massive beyond imagination. Its hull was scarred and blackened from centuries in space, yet it seemed almost alive, faintly glowing with energy that pulsed like veins of light across its surface. She had heard stories about the legendary vessels of the old galaxy, ships that had vanished centuries ago, rumored to hold technologies lost to time, capable of feats no modern ship could dream of. Among them, one was spoken of in hushed tones, the Aegis of Eternity. Some said it was just a myth, a story told by old spacefarers to entertain themselves during long journeys. But now, here it was. Her fingers flew over the controls, calculating a safe approach through the treacherous field. Asteroids scraped past the Peregrine, each one a potential tomb. She felt a thrill she had never known before. "This is it," she whispered to herself. "I found it." The closer she got, the more details became clear. The hull of the Aegis was covered in alien symbols that shimmered faintly in the dim light of distant stars. Its engines, massive even in decay, were quiet now, but she could feel the dormant power thrumming beneath the surface. If she could bring this vessel back, even partially, it could change everything. A ship like this could give humanity a leap centuries ahead of current technology. Exploration, defense, colonization, everything could be rewritten. Yet even in her excitement, caution tempered her thrill. Space was never empty, and news of a legendary ship never stayed a secret for long. "Let's see what you've got, old girl," Alara muttered, guiding the Peregrine closer. Her scanners beeped, showing structural integrity, energy readings, and internal chambers. The doors were sealed, the corridors dark and silent. Whoever had built this vessel had done it with care. Its design was elegant, far beyond human architecture. Docking would be tricky. The Aegis was far larger than her ship, and she didn't know if the docking ports were still functional. But necessity forced her hand. She aligned the Peregrine with a faint indentation on the hull, carefully extending her docking clamps. The ship groaned under her touch, a low metallic sound that echoed through the void. Ella felt a thrill. This was history, living history. She was about to step inside a vessel no one had seen for centuries. As she sealed the airlock, a shiver ran down her spine. She had done this countless times before, boarding abandoned stations and derelict ships. But there was something different about this. Something alive. The airlock opened with a hiss. Her boots echoed in the vast corridor as she stepped aboard. The interior was dark, but faint, luminescent strips lined the walls, casting a soft blue glow. Dust floated in the air. Disturbed by her movement, Alara moved carefully, scanning the surroundings. The corridors were massive, far larger than any human ship she had seen. The ceiling arched high above her, filled with conduits and machinery that hummed faintly. This is incredible," she whispered. Her sensors picked up a room ahead. It was the ship's control center, though it looked more like a cathedral than a bridge. Consoles of unknown design lined the walls, and a massive viewport looked out into the void, showing a field of drifting asteroids like scattered jewels. Alara approached one of the consoles and activated a preliminary scan. Data flooded her interface, most of it indecipherable, but enough to confirm what she had hoped. The ship was powered, dormant, but not dead. A sudden vibration ran through the floor. Alara's hand shot to her blaster. The sensors picked up movement outside the ship. Her stomach dropped. She wasn't alone. On the edges of her scanner, multiple ships were warping into the sector. Small, agile vessels, clearly built for scavenging and plundering. Scrap crews. She had seen them before, merciless groups who hunted derelicts, ripping apart anything of value. And now they had found the Aegis too. Alara's mind raced. There was no way she could fight them with the Peregrine alone. But the Aegis might give her a chance. She activated a more detailed scan of the control center, searching for systems she could interface with. Her fingers flew over the ancient alien controls. Symbols shifted under her touch, responding to her presence. "Hello," she said aloud, half hoping for some response, half afraid of what might answer. A soft glow appeared in the center of the room. Holographic symbols rotated slowly, forming shapes she could almost recognize. The air vibrated faintly. Then a voice. Soft, melodic, but commanding. Authorized life form detected. "Captain of Peregrine, are you worthy of control?" Elara froze. Her heart pounded. I am," she said cautiously. "I'm here to explore, not destroy." The voice paused as if evaluating her. "Initiating assessment. Systems may awaken. Stand by." The ship trembled gently, a vibration that ran through the hall. Lights along the corridors flickered and came alive. Doors opened automatically, revealing pathways deeper into the vessel. The Aegis was responding to her presence. Alara felt a surge of awe and fear. She was no longer just an explorer. She had awoken something far older and more powerful than she had imagined. Outside, her sensors showed the scrap crews approaching rapidly. They were closing in, drawn by the same energy signature she had detected. They would not be patient. They would not hesitate. Alara's mind raced for a plan. She needed to secure the vessel, understand its systems, and, if possible, escape before the scrap crews reached docking range. Her eyes caught a holographic map projected in the center of the control room. It showed the Aegis's massive structure, chambers she could explore, and engines that could, maybe, be activated. "This is it," she whispered. "If I can get this ship working, I can protect it." The first small vessel of the scrap crews appeared on her sensors, weaving through the asteroid field. Alara's pulse quickened. She didn't have much time. But as she prepared to move, a flicker of movement caught her eye in the far corner of the control room. A shadow shifted, almost like a living thing. Her blaster raised. She approached cautiously. Nothing. Then the voice returned. "Do not fear. I am the Aegis. I have been waiting for one who is capable." Alara took a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly. I will do my best. Then we begin." The room shimmered. A low hum grew into a resonating pulse that ran through the ship. Doors opened, corridors lit, systems powered on. The Aegis was awakening, and with it, the stakes of her discovery grew higher. Outside, the scrap crews were nearly in range. Alara had no choice. She had to explore the vessel, unlock its secrets, and prepare for the battle to come. Her journey had begun. The legendary ship had chosen her, and now the galaxy would watch as a single human dared to awaken the might of the Aegis of Eternity. The low hum of the Aegis of Eternity filled the vast corridors as Captain Alara Voss moved cautiously through the ship. Every step echoed, bouncing off walls far higher than any human vessel she had ever boarded. The ship had awakened, but it was old, and she could feel it testing her, measuring her. Outside, the Peregrine floated quietly, dwarfed by the Aegis. Her sensors pinged repeatedly. Multiple small vessels were approaching fast. The scrap crews had not wasted time. Alara's mind raced. They were fast, ruthless, and heavily armed. She couldn't face them head-on with her tiny ship. The Aegis was her only chance. If she could unlock its systems, she could defend the legendary vessel and herself. Her eyes scanned the holographic map in the control room. Pathways branched deep into the Aegis, leading to chambers labeled in alien symbols she could barely interpret. The main engine room pulsed faintly on the map, a core of dormant power. The ship's AI had awakened just enough to project these paths, but it was still cautious. "I need to get to the core," she muttered to herself. "If I can bring that online, I have a chance." Alara stepped carefully down a long corridor, her boots echoing. Dust floated lazily in the artificial light, disturbed by the soft airflow of the ship's ventilation. She paused at a junction where a faint shadow moved. Her pulse quickened. She raised her blaster, but the movement resolved into a holographic projection, a glowing figure hovering near a control panel. Its form shifted like liquid light. "Do not fear. I am the Aegis. I have awakened, but only partially. You must prove your worth." Elira lowered her weapon slightly, awe and caution mixing in her chest. "I'll do whatever it takes. I don't want to harm you, or this ship." "Very well. The path ahead is dangerous." Scap crews are approaching. Systems must be activated carefully. "Follow my guidance." The ship hummed, and a set of doors slid open ahead. Alara walked through, feeling the pulse of power beneath her feet. The corridors twisted unnaturally, and the gravity subtly shifted. The ship was alive, aware of her presence, and it moved in ways that made human navigation feel strange. Her first obstacle appeared almost immediately. A set of corridors converged into a chamber blocked by energy barriers she could not pass. Her sensors showed faint heat signatures beyond the barrier, small drones, clearly automated, but hostile to outsiders. Alara's mind worked quickly. She had dealt with automated defense systems before, but these were unlike anything she had encountered. She scanned the barriers, searching for a weakness. Then the AI spoke. "They are not hostile to you. Use the access panel." Alara followed the guidance, manipulating the alien interface. The energy barriers shimmered and dissolved, allowing her to pass. She felt a surge of confidence. If she could understand the ship's controls, she might just survive. Outside, her sensors pinged continuously. The scrap crews were advancing rapidly, using asteroid cover to approach the Aegis. Elira had seconds to move. She entered a vast hall filled with machinery that pulsed faintly. Massive conduits ran along the walls, glowing with a soft blue light. In the center, a holographic map displayed multiple sections of the ship she had not yet seen. Engine cores, storage bays, defensive stations, and mysterious sealed chambers marked with alien symbols. "The engine core is here," she murmured, pointing to a chamber at the far end of the hall. "If I can activate it." But before she could move, a warning flashed on her scanner. Small ships were deploying boarding drones. The scrap crews were already sending their first wave. Alara's hands flew over the console. She activated some dormant systems the AI allowed her access to. Corridors shifted, sliding panels, blocking paths and opening new ones. She used the ship itself as a weapon, guiding the drones into dead ends, confusing their navigation. Still, some drones bypassed her traps and entered the hall. They were small, but fast, designed to tear apart anything valuable. Alara aimed her blaster, taking careful shots to disable them before they could reach her. Sparks flew as drones fell against the floor. "This isn't going to be easy," she muttered. Her mind calculated each step, balancing between exploring the ship and defending against intruders. She finally reached the entrance to the engine core. The doors were massive, covered with alien runes and intricate locks. Her fingers worked rapidly on the interface. The AI guided her, and with a soft hiss, the doors slid open. Inside, the engine core was breathtaking. A massive sphere hovered in the center, suspended by glowing energy fields. Circuits and conduits radiated outward like veins, pulsing with dormant power. The air vibrated with energy, almost tangible. Alara approached cautiously. This is incredible. The systems are ancient, but they can be awakened. You must align the core with the ship's primary control matrix. Following the instructions, she began the process. The holographic interface projected intricate sequences, alien symbols glowing as they synchronized. The ship hummed louder, corridors vibrating slightly as energy flowed through the hull. Her concentration was absolute, but a warning flashed on her sensor again. The scrap crews were boarding more aggressively. They had found airlock entry points and were attempting to penetrate the outer hull. Ilara's heart pounded. She couldn't afford to be distracted. Every minute counted. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she manipulated the alien controls, aligning energy fields, calibrating conduits. Finally, with a deep hum, the core activated. A wave of light pulsed through the ship. Doors opened automatically, corridors realigned, and small drones stationed throughout the ship powered up. Defensive drones under her control now, ready to repel intruders. She smiled briefly. Yes, yes, but the AI's voice reminded her of the danger. External threats detected. They are more organized than anticipated. Evade, or they will breach the core. Elara ran through the corridors, using the ship's guidance to navigate. She could see drones deploying ahead, intercepting the boarding teams. Sparks flew as the AI-controlled defenses neutralized multiple threats. The scrap crews were skilled, but the Aegis was smarter. She found herself in a chamber filled with ancient alien artifacts, cubes, spheres, and devices she could barely recognize. Some glowed faintly, others were cold and silent. The AI projected a small map highlighting certain chambers as high-priority areas. These hold value, Elara said aloud. I need to secure them before they do. Moving swiftly, she collected what she could carry and stored it in her personal pack. The scrap crews were relentless. She could hear their ship engines outside, faint vibrations through the hull. They would not leave empty-handed. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the corridors. A section of the hull had been breached by a scrap crew drone. Elara spun around, raising her blaster, but the AI intervened. Do not engage directly. Use the environment. Redirect their approach. She followed the advice, sliding panels to redirect the drones, activating energy fields to block corridors, and using the ship itself to create obstacles. Slowly, the scrap crew's progress was slowed, but not stopped. Her path eventually led her to a massive observation deck. From here, she could see the full scale of the Aegis. Its hull stretched hundreds of meters, dwarfing her ship. Small lights indicated the positions of the scrap crews, like insects crawling on a giant. Elara's heart swelled. This was not just a ship. It was a fortress, a weapon, and a library of knowledge all at once. And she, a single human, had awakened it. But there was no time to celebrate. The scrap crews were regrouping, preparing for another boarding attempt. Elara knew she had to act fast if she wanted to secure the ship fully. She returned to the engine core and began interfacing with more advanced controls, unlocking secondary systems, defensive drones, energy barriers, and stealth fields. Slowly, she could feel the Aegis responding more fully to her presence, recognizing her as its captain. This is it, she whispered. If I can get the ship moving, I can stop them. Outside, a small explosion rocked the hull. One of the scrap crews had found a weak point. They were persistent, dangerous, and heavily armed. But she had the advantage now. She had awakened the ship, and the Aegis was learning fast. For the first time in her life, Elara felt the weight of destiny pressing down on her shoulders. She was no longer a simple explorer. She had become the guardian of a legend, a human, in control of something far older and far more powerful than any she had ever known. And as she looked at the holographic map, seeing the scrap crew's positions and the ship's defenses aligning, she realized one thing: she could survive this. She would survive this. The battle for the Aegis of Eternity had begun. Captain Elara Voss moved swiftly through the twisting corridors of the Aegis of Eternity. Every step echoed a reminder of the massive ship she had awakened and the danger waiting outside. The scrap crews were relentless. Her sensors showed multiple small ships weaving through the asteroid field, using cover to close the distance. They had learned quickly, adapting to her earlier defenses. She paused in a junction where 3 corridors converged. The AI's voice filled her mind, calm and precise. You are approaching the central docking bay. Multiple hostiles detected. Tactical advantages available through environmental control. Elara's heart quickened. The docking bay was enormous, capable of holding ships hundreds of meters long. If she could control it, she could turn the environment into a trap. "Show me," she said. The AI highlighted structural panels, magnetic cranes, and automated platforms. With a few quick commands, Elara redirected the energy in the bay. Massive barriers rose from the floor. Shifting panels created corridors that forced the intruders into confined spaces, and dormant security drones powered up, hovering like silent sentinels. Outside, her sensors detected the scrap crews attempting to board. Small drones detached from their ships and hurtled toward the hull. Elara activated the Aegis's defensive shields, the barrier shimmering in a soft blue glow. The first drone slammed against the shield, sparks flying into the vacuum of space. Elara's pulse raced as she activated more of the Aegis's defenses. Automated turrets emerged from hidden panels, their barrels spinning silently before targeting incoming threats. The scrap crews were skilled, but they had never faced a vessel like this. Inside, the corridors shifted subtly, almost instinctively, as the Aegis responded to Elara's commands. She felt a connection forming between herself and the ship. It was learning from her, adapting to her decisions, and helping her fight back. Caution. More intruders entering. Boarding pods detected in multiple sectors, the AI warned. There was no time for fear. She moved deeper into the ship, guiding the drones and barriers to slow the attackers. Sparks flew, lights flickered, and the metallic roar of combat echoed through the vast halls. She entered the armory chamber, a massive room filled with dormant weapons and power cores. The AI allowed her access to certain systems. Panels lit up under her touch, activating energy weapons and plasma turrets. With these defenses, she could cover more corridors and give herself a chance to reach the control nexus. Her mind worked quickly. The control nexus was the heart of the ship, where she could access primary navigation, defensive systems, and the full potential of the Aegis. If she could get there, she could turn the legendary vessel into a fortress against the scrap crews. But the path was not easy. A group of scrap drones broke through a corridor, small but heavily armed. Elara raised her blaster, firing carefully to disable them. Sparks and fragments flew, and the drones fell silent. She ran, moving through the shifting corridors, guided by the AI. The docking bay came into view. Massive platforms hung suspended in zero gravity, and the wrecks of past ships littered the bay floor. She could see the scrap crews deploying boarding pods. The next wave would be devastating if she didn't act fast. "Activate full defensive matrix?" the AI asked. "Yes," she replied. "Do it." The Aegis trembled, the massive energy conduits humming louder. Corridors shifted violently, doors slammed shut, and energy barriers rose, cutting off sections of the bay. Automated drones moved into strategic positions, creating kill zones for incoming intruders. The scrap crews were caught by surprise. Their boarding pods smashed into barriers, some exploding in sparks and fire. Turrets fired, tearing through the remaining drones. The bay was chaos, but Elara had the upper hand. Still, one small drone slipped past the defenses, moving through a hidden corridor. Elara's sensors tracked it. She fired her blaster, hitting it squarely. Sparks flew as it collapsed. Her heart raced. She was winning, but only barely. The scrap crews were persistent, and reinforcements were on the way. She pressed forward, moving deeper into the ship toward the control nexus. Along the way, she discovered chambers filled with alien artifacts, floating spheres, glowing cubes, and devices that seemed to hum with energy. Some appeared to be advanced storage units. Others looked like weapons or tools beyond human understanding. These contain knowledge and technology. Protect them at all costs, the AI advised. Elara nodded. She carefully stored what she could carry in her pack, taking only what was necessary to secure before continuing. Every second counted. Suddenly, a loud metallic crash echoed through the corridor. One of the scrap crews had breached a section near the armory. Elara quickly activated energy barriers, isolating the intruders. She used the Aegis systems to her advantage, guiding the intruders into traps where automated drones and turrets disabled them. Her breathing was rapid, but her mind remained sharp. She had learned to think like the ship, using its shifting corridors, automated systems, and energy barriers to her advantage. Every action was precise, every decision critical. Finally, she reached the control nexus. The room was enormous, filled with alien consoles, holographic projections, and glowing energy cores. The AI guided her to the central interface, a massive holographic panel floating above the floor. With this, you can control all systems, including navigation, defense, and environmental manipulation, the AI explained. Alara approached, placing her hands on the holographic controls. Symbols shifted and rotated, responding to her touch. The ship hummed louder, energy coursing through the corridors like a living pulse. "Let's see what you can do," she whispered, a thrill running through her veins. She activated the ship's defensive systems fully. Energy barriers enveloped critical corridors, drones patrolled strategic points, and turrets aligned to target any intruder. The ship responded instantly to her commands, shifting corridors to create advantageous paths, isolating threats and protecting its most valuable chambers. Outside, her sensors showed the scrap crews regrouping. They had lost drones and suffered heavy damage, but they were not defeated. More ships were on the way, and she had to act fast. Alara activated the Aegis's stealth field, enveloping the ship in a faint shimmer that made it nearly invisible to sensors. She guided the vessel slowly through the asteroid field, using massive rocks as cover, while her defensive drones repelled boarding attempts. The scrap crews grew frustrated. Their movements became chaotic, their strategies disorganized. Alara had turned the legendary vessel into a fortress, and they could not breach it easily. As she navigated, she discovered a sealed chamber deep within the ship. The AI highlighted it with a soft glow. This chamber contains the Aegis's original mission logs and hidden technology. "You may find critical knowledge there," the AI said. Alara's curiosity flared. She approached the chamber, bypassing alien locks and activating the doors. Inside, she found stacks of holographic data, ancient maps of uncharted star systems, and devices that glowed faintly with energy. "This is incredible," she whispered. The ship wasn't just a vessel. It was a guardian, a protector of systems we didn't even know existed. The AI confirmed her thoughts. The Aegis was designed to defend uncharted regions and safeguard civilizations. Its technology was lost to time until now. Alara felt a surge of responsibility. This was bigger than treasure, bigger than personal gain. Humanity could use this knowledge, but only if she protected the ship. Outside, the scrap crews had regrouped, sending a final wave of boarding pods. Alara braced herself. The battle was far from over, but she was ready. With the Aegis fully awakened under her command, she was no longer just a single human. She had the power of a legend at her side. The corridors trembled as the boarding pods slammed into the ship. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and drones swarmed. Alara moved through the control nexus, activating traps, energy barriers, and automated turrets. Every corridor was defended, every intruder neutralized. Slowly, the scrap crews began to retreat. Their losses too great, their attempts disorganized. Alara watched as the last pod disengaged, leaving the Aegis secure for now. She leaned against the console, breathing heavily. The AI's voice was calm, almost approving. "You have proven your capability. The Aegis recognizes you as its captain. Our mission can continue under your guidance." Alara smiled faintly, her hands trembling with adrenaline. "We've only just begun," she said. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, silent witnesses to the awakening of a legend. The Aegis of Eternity had returned, and humanity had a guardian unlike any other. And deep inside the ship, in hidden chambers, secrets waited. Technology, knowledge, and missions that could reshape the galaxy. Alara knew that the battles were far from over, but for the first time, she felt hope. She had survived the scrap crews, unlocked the ship's power, and uncovered a legend. The Aegis was awake, and so was humanity's chance to rise among the stars. Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge of the Aegis of Eternity, her eyes scanning the stars ahead. The legendary ship hummed beneath her feet, alive and responsive, as if it had chosen her as its guide. The scrap crews were gone for now, scattered and defeated, but she knew they would return. And if they did, they would bring reinforcements. Alara's hands hovered over the holographic controls, feeling the pulse of the ship like a heartbeat. She had awakened the Aegis, unlocked its defenses, and discovered its hidden mission: to protect uncharted star systems from threats no human could yet comprehend. This was more than exploration now. This was responsibility. Captain, sensors indicate multiple hostile fleets approaching from 3 sectors. Estimated time of arrival, 30 minutes. The AI intoned. Its voice was calm, precise, and confident. Alara swallowed hard. 30 minutes was nothing. In the vastness of space, it was almost no time at all, especially against skilled scrap crews. But now, she had the Aegis fully at her command. And that changed everything. Prepare all defensive systems. Activate full operational readiness. Her voice was steady, though adrenaline surged through her veins. The Aegis responded instantly. Turrets emerged from hidden compartments, energy barriers shimmered along the hull, and automated drones deployed into strategic positions. The corridors shifted subtly, creating optimized paths for defense and offense alike. Alara accessed the ship's navigation system and plotted a slow approach through the asteroid field. The massive rocks would provide natural cover, forcing the enemy into narrow corridors where her traps could work most effectively. "Shall we awaken the auxiliary systems, Captain?" the AI asked. "Yes, let's show them what a legend can do," she said. The ship vibrated gently as its engines powered up, releasing pulses of energy that lit up the corridors and filled the observation ports with faint blue light. The Aegis was no longer dormant. It was alive, aware, and ready to fight. Outside, the hostile fleets appeared, small but numerous, armed to the teeth with weapons scavenged from the far reaches of the galaxy. They had learned quickly, and they had no intention of retreating this time. Elara's fingers flew over the controls, activating defensive shields and aligning turrets toward the incoming ships. Energy barriers formed around critical sections, ready to isolate intruders. Drones moved in formation, their sensors locking onto hostile targets. The first wave of attack began. Small fighters darted through the asteroid field, trying to flank the Aegis. The ship responded instinctively, shifting corridors and opening trapdoors that caused fighters to crash into barriers or be caught by energy nets. Turrets fired with deadly precision, tearing through enemy hulls. Elara felt a surge of exhilaration. She had faced danger before, but never like this. Never with a ship that could think, adapt, and fight alongside her. "Captain, intruders detected in Corridor 7B. Suggest immediate containment." Anime activated an energy barrier, cutting off the corridor. Sparks flew as the enemy drones collided with the barrier, falling to the floor disabled. She smiled faintly. The Aegis was learning from her tactics, predicting the movements of the attackers. But the battle was far from over. A larger boarding fleet had emerged from behind an asteroid cluster. These ships were faster, heavily armored, and armed with advanced weaponry. Alara's pulse quickened. They were professionals, scrappers who had fought countless battles, but they had never faced a legend. "All systems prepare for maximum output. Defensive matrix at full power," she commanded. The Aegis responded immediately. Turrets spun into position, energy fields flared to life, and the massive ship shifted slightly, realigning its armor to minimize vulnerable points. The corridors and chambers moved subtly, creating confusing paths for any intruders who managed to board. The first boarding pods hit the hull. Energy barriers absorbed the impact, and automated drones intercepted the intruders as they tried to enter the ship. Sparks flew, alarms echoed, and the hum of the Aegis intensified. Elara moved through the bridge. Accessing the ship's internal map, she could see every corridor, every chamber, and every active defense. The scrap crews were clever, but she had an advantage. The ship itself was fighting for her. "They are attempting to access the central chamber. Recommend strategic countermeasures, Captain," the AI advised. Elara's mind raced. The central chamber contained some of the Aegis' most valuable technology and knowledge. If the intruders reached it, the ship's secrets could be lost, or worse, weaponized. "Activate the chamber defense protocols. Seal all entrances and deploy Guardian drones," she ordered. The corridors shifted violently as massive doors sealed the chamber. Energy barriers shimmered around it, and Guardian drones powered up, hovering like silent sentinels. The intruders tried to force their way in, but were met with overwhelming resistance. Sparks flew as weapons collided with shields, and one by one, the enemy drones were destroyed. Outside, Elara saw the scrap crews attempting to regroup. They were desperate, trying to find another path to the ship's heart. But every corridor they entered was a trap. Automated drones intercepted them, energy barriers blocked their advance, and the Aegis shifted to create dead ends. Elara's confidence grew. She was no longer merely defending, she was commanding a legend. The ship responded to her thoughts, anticipating her needs and reinforcing her strategies. Every move was precise, every decision amplified by the ship's intelligence. But she knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, and other threats would come. The Aegis was powerful, but she had to ensure it was used wisely. Its technology, knowledge, and abilities were beyond anything humanity had seen. Misuse could be catastrophic. She accessed the hidden chamber she had discovered earlier. The AI projected holographic records of the ship's original mission to protect uncharted systems from threats, to safeguard civilizations, and to explore the far reaches of space. Ancient star maps and advanced technology were stored there, waiting for a capable mind to awaken them. Elara realized the full weight of her responsibility. This ship was not just a weapon. It was a guardian, a protector, and a beacon of hope for humanity. The scrap crews launched a final wave of boarding pods, faster and more aggressive than before. Elara's pulse quickened. She activated all remaining defensive systems, directing drones to intercept, barriers to block, and turrets to fire automatically. The corridors shifted violently, creating narrow paths that funneled the intruders into kill zones. Sparks flew as enemy drones collided with barriers, were caught in energy nets, or destroyed by turrets. The battle was chaotic, violent, and overwhelming, but Elara remained calm, focused, and precise. One intruder managed to reach a side chamber, but Guardian drones quickly neutralized it. Another attempted to hack a control panel, but the Aegis responded instantly, isolating the system and cutting off access. Elara watched the last of the boarding pods retreat. The scrap crews were defeated, their ships damaged and scattered. The Aegis had proven itself, and humanity's triumph was secure. For now. She leaned against a console, breathing heavily. The AI's voice was calm, almost approving. You have demonstrated exceptional capability, Captain. The Aegis recognizes you as its rightful commander. The mission can continue under your guidance, it said. Elara smiled faintly. We've only just begun, she replied. This is bigger than any of us. But together, we can protect the galaxy. The stars stretched endlessly outside the observation ports. The Aegis of eternity floated silently, a sleeping giant now awake, ready to serve humanity and defend the unknown reaches of space. In the following days, Elara explored the ship further. She uncovered hidden archives, advanced alien technology, and maps to uncharted star systems. Each discovery reinforced the truth. The Aegis was not just a vessel. It was a guardian, a legend, and a symbol of what humanity could achieve when courage, intelligence, and determination met opportunity. Elara sent a message to the nearby human colonies, warning them of the scrap crews and the ancient technology she had discovered. She offered assistance, guidance, and protection, establishing the Aegis as a beacon of hope. Word of the legendary ship spread quickly, inspiring explorers, scientists, and ordinary people alike. Humanity had found a guardian, and with it, the chance to rise among the stars. Elara stood on the bridge once more, gazing at the stars. The Aegis hummed beneath her, a living testament to human courage and ingenuity. She knew challenges would come, enemies would return, and mysteries would await. But she also knew one truth: humanity had awakened a legend, and together they would meet the future head-on. The scrap crews had failed. Humanity had triumphed. And the Aegis of eternity, once lost to time, now soared again as a protector, a guide, and a symbol of hope. Elara's eyes shone with determination. The journey was only beginning, but for the first time, she felt the weight of possibility. With the legendary vessel at her command, she could explore, protect, and inspire. The galaxy was vast, full of unknown threats and wonders, but she was ready. Humanity's story among the stars had truly begun. And somewhere, deep in the heart of the Aegis, the ship seemed to pulse in agreement, as if it too understood that a new era had dawned.